Hey guys! Welcome to the Turkish series Stars channel. All the details are in our video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share our video before continuing. Thank you so much. The glow from last night still hasn't faded. Istanbul witnessed a performance that turned a concert hall into a confession booth, where the applause thundered not only for the music but for the heart behind it. Beloved actor-turned-performer Navruz took the stage with a set list crafted like a love letter, and every note carried a secret that the audience could feel snowballing toward something bigger. What began as a highly anticipated show ended with a surprise that no one in the room will forget, a surprise that set the entire city buzzing until sunrise. From the first minute, Alp moved with a relaxed, radiant confidence, reaching for the mic with the calm of someone who knows precisely why they came. The lights burned warm, the band played tight, and he connected to the crowd the way only a favorite leading man can, eyes scanning, a hand to his chest, a grin that made it feel like every seat was the best one in the house. With each song, the energy rose and the story deepened, and after one particularly aching ballad, he paused. He looked out, inhaled, and finally said what many feared was just rumor, that the muse behind every chord and lyric was Alina. He didn't rush it. He let the room hush itself. Then, with a voice quieter than the music had been, he declared that the set wasn't random and the emotion wasn't staged. He told the crowd he'd been carrying a feeling for months and that the songs they'd just heard flowed to one person. And then came the line that made the balcony shake and the video clips explode online. All of it, he revealed, was for Alina. The reaction hit like a wave. Cheers burst from every corner, whistles cut through the air, and hands flew up as if the whole hall had made the same wish and was seeing it granted at once. Within minutes, phones were lifted, angles were found, and his words were already in 1,000 pockets, replayed and rewatched with disbelief and delight. It wasn't just a declaration, it was a moment that made strangers nudge each other and say, "You heard that, right?" Social media turned into one roaring echo chamber before the encore even began. Clips shot from the front row, the mezzanine, the aisle, each with the same soft tremor of the camera as the person filming tried to breathe through the shock, took off. Fans posted feverish comments into the night, "This love is official now. And we waited so long for Alp to say it out loud. And the most romantic second of the year." The crowd may have been captivated by his voice, but the confession sealed it. It was as if the entire concert had been a trail of careful steps leading to this one final door. Throughout the evening, Alp performed with a warmth that felt new. He was steadier on the bouncy numbers, almost playful, but during the softer songs, his eyes carried a faraway focus, as though he were seeing only one face in the sea of silhouettes. When the band lowered their sound late in the set, the hush of the room was broken only by the occasional sniffle and a few whispered "oh my gods." He smiled through a sheen of emotion, and at one point, he turned slightly, as if addressing someone backstage or somewhere beyond the spotlights. He told the audience that sometimes, a person's entire creative spirit can be lit by a single spark, and that his spark had a name. Then he closed with a promise he barely disguised as a lyric, a farewell that lingered like perfume in the air. As for Alina, she kept her silence through the night, but that didn't stop the whispers behind the curtain. Backstage, opinions rippled through the corridors. People spoke in hushed, excited tones, some calling it a direct proclamation, others wondering if the two would step out together before the week was over. A few murmurs even claimed that Alina hadn't known he would put words to this story so openly, that the confession had surprised her too. Whether any of that is true remains a mystery, but it certainly fueled the fire blazing across timelines and headlines by dawn. The performance itself would have been enough to carry the night, a smooth, controlled voice, arrangements that let him soar, and a presence that commanded attention without demanding it. But the twist, that breath, that pause, that sentence, took the show from memorable to legendary. One moment the hall was brimming with melody, the next, it was listening to a man who had finally stopped hiding behind it. When he said he was singing while thinking of her, the reaction rolled like thunder down the aisles. Some people stood on their seats, others clasped hands, and a few simply wiped their eyes. He wasn't coy. He wasn't cryptic. He was clear. And clarity like that, especially on a stage, can feel like a lightning strike. As the night wore on, you could see the joy in Alp's expression, a lightness breaking through his concentration. Between songs, he laughed under his breath. During instrumental bridges, he tilted his head back and seemed to absorb the roar, as if he needed the noise to survive what he'd just revealed. Backstage chatter took on a fevered rhythm. This is the confession everyone's been waiting for. The stage has never looked more like a heart on display. Even members of the crew exchanged looks that said, "Well, that just happened." By the time he returned for the encore, the narrative was already writing itself. The show had become the statement. Online, it was a tidal surge. Posts spiked, shares multiplied, and the clip of Alp saying her name cut through the noise like a bell. View counts soared into the millions by morning, long before coffee had a chance to brew in most kitchens. Fans flooded the comments with emotion and certainty. This is a public declaration, no doubt. Alp couldn't have been more direct. All eyes are on Alina now. Some wrote that the concert had entered the cultural memory, that it would be referred to for years anytime someone asked, when did this love become real for the public? Others rejoiced simply at the softness of it, the way a man known for intensity on screen had chosen tenderness in real life. Through it all, Alina remained quiet, which only heightened the suspense. People reached out to anyone who might know something, stylists, close friends, co-stars, searching for a hint of how she felt. The most persistent rumor claimed she hadn't been warned, that she was watching like everyone else, hearing her name ring out in a filled hall and feeling the earth tilt slightly under her feet. That rumor, true or not, added a sharpness to the evening's sweetness. It painted the confession as both brave and bare, a moment of risk unbuffered by rehearsed strategy. And perhaps that is why the story read as authentic even to cynics. Nothing about the music was diminished by the drama. If anything, the emotion amplified each track, especially toward the end, when Alp threaded the songs with little stories of how melodies had found him in quiet moments, how words had chased him during long nights, how sometimes the entire world can seem to narrow to a single name. He lingered on that idea, as if admitting that one person had become not just inspiration but compass. The final goodbye was gentle rather than grand, no fireworks, just a softly spoken wish, a nod to the balcony, and then silence broken by applause that seemed unwilling to stop. Even hours later, the momentum refused to die. Entertainment reporters framed the night as both a professional milestone and a personal revelation. In posts, fans tracked and retracked the sentence that had turned a concert into a turning point. At the heart of it, the narrative felt simple: an actor many admire, stepping into music with surprising ease, using his new stage not to hide but to speak. The clarity with which he named Alina was startling after months of speculation. There was no careful sidestep, no playful dodge. He stopped the music and aimed truth straight at the audience, as if trusting the room to hold it. He even spoke to the burden of keeping feelings behind melody. At one point, in words that slipped out like a confession practiced in private, he said that stepping into the lights with a guarded heart can feel like wearing armor that only grows heavier. He admitted that, tonight, the armor had been set down. Then came the line the crowd repeated to themselves as they left the venue, that every song played that evening had a destination, that every verse had a listener in mind, that the recipient, his word, was Alina. He added that he wasn't just singing, he was speaking to her. The room swelled again, as if the floor itself had exhaled. What makes such a moment unforgettable is not only the courage on the mic but also the sudden, collective intimacy of it. To be there was to feel included in something delicate, to realize that you were watching a chapter begin in real time. It explained the smiles on the crew, the quick, knowing glances from bandmates, the way the audience softened as he moved through the last notes. The night's refrain in the corridors was simple: you could feel love in the lighting. By morning, the numbers were staggering. The main clip looped constantly on timelines, and the fever of commentary barely dipped. Readers loved the certainty in sentences like "Alp made it official." And after that speech, "This can't be hidden." People wrote that they couldn't wait to hear from Alina, that her response would crown the evening was either a confirmation or a mystery worth savoring. Others debated whether a public confession is a risk or a promise. Few stayed neutral. Almost everyone agreed on one thing, that the night would be remembered first for its emotional weight, and second for its playlist. For those who have followed their paths, the story carries a resonance. Alp, long considered a compelling lead with magnetism to spare, now appears as an artist willing to place his heart under matching light. Alina, a presence equally luminous and strong, stands at the center of a question that no one can answer for her: what she will say, and when. But whether her response is silent dignity or an echoed confession, last night has already taken its place as a landmark in the gentle unfolding of these two lives as seen from the outside. In the final minutes, after the last bow and before the house lights fully rose, Alp gave the crowd a look that felt almost private. He seemed grateful and relieved, as if he'd finally let the truth sit next to the music rather than behind it. The encore drifted by like a promise held in both hands. When he slipped off stage, the audience lingered, clapping in a rhythm that felt less like a call for more and more like a salute to what had just been said. The cameras kept rolling, recording a sensation that words would fail to capture in full. But the internet tried anyway, and the world read along. So the city woke this morning to a story written in applause and amplified by 1,000 tiny screens, a night of songs transformed by a name, a confession carrying tenderness, risk, and clarity, a chapter turned in public. Whatever comes next, be it a photograph together on a quiet street, a caption that says more than it seems, or continued silence in the face of wonder, the night already belongs to the lore of modern romance. For now, Istanbul holds the echo, and fans hold their breath, waiting for Alina to choose the words only she can say. This brings us to the end of our video. If you like our video, don't forget to subscribe to the Turkish series Stars channel and share it. Goodbye.